فإن آفة العلم في الحقيقة هي التسويف. ما أصاب طلبة العلم آحاد أو على سبيل الإجمال آفة كآفة التسويف. إذا أراد أن يحفظ شيئا قال اليوم أنا مشغول لنجعله في الغد، فإذا جاء الغد أرجأه إلى الأسبوع القابل ثم الشهر القابل ثم السنة التي بعدها، فإذا بالمرء قد شغل بأهله وولده وعمله ووظيفته وغير ذلك من مشاغل الدنيا. العلم لا بد أن تتعلم وتباشر في التعليم، ولا تؤجله ولا تسوفه ولا تتآنى فيه ولا تتأخر. لا بد أن تبادر بالعلم، لأن هذا العلم الذي تحصله اليوم لن تحصله غدا. ثق هذه معلومة. لربما كان نفس الكتاب معك الآن لكن تقرأه اليوم وتقرأه غدا، كان تحصيلك له اليوم يختلف عن تحصيلك له في الغد.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So in this clip, it was an excellent reminder that student of knowledge should be very wary of procrastination. And I mean, when I was studying philosophy and history and other subjects, you would see some classmates who would be like, hey, can I borrow your notes? You know, I need to write this essay. And it's like, you had 4 weeks to prepare. We got 2 days till it's due. You're going to crash through it? It's just ridiculous. And now people will just use ChatGPT. And you're like, what's going on with people? Procrastination has turned into this really lazy affair. And I really hope that people understand that when I keep the flow of content consistently being pumped out on my channel, I'm trying to show you that as a woman, as a stay-at-home mom, as a mother, as a revert, as an American, you know, you can do it too. Now, some people, like I've had classmates, you know, just kind of say like I'm really there, that I'm kind of like so in it, I'm engrossed in it, I'm immersed in it, so it's they see it as something a bit eccentric. Some of them will feel like I should be focusing on more other things, but I just, you know, a lot of reading, a lot of studying, they just don't get it because their life is more laissez-faire. It's more about relaxation, comfort, and in some cases, for some of them, wilding out. And they see kind of reading and studying as boring. They're entitled to their opinion, but I remember when who is it? Shahid Bolson, I think his name was. I was going to community college, only could afford to take 3 classes. That's what, an hour and 40 minutes per class, twice a week. It's, you know, it's not really that much, but I would always try to keep the flow on my channel to where, like, not only am I learning in my classes, but when I come home, I'm learning even more after I've been studying. And this is just how I am. It's like someone goes to, like, to say that their job is to play basketball, and they come home and they practice. Someone's job is to be a chef, but they come home, they cook for their family. Or they do a catering hustle on the side. You see, so when you're good at something, when you love something, when you're passionate about it, you keep doing it. You keep uploading, you keep practicing, you stay in the flow. And I remember that guy, and I believe he was someone who has a criminal record for murder. He had made a video against me out of the blue. It has a lot of views. And he really tried hard to turn people against me, and he told me I should get offline. And he was complaining about how much I upload. And he was trying to make it seem impossible. And I always thought that was quite strange. Here's this guy claiming to be a Muslim, but he's upset that a Muslim is producing and engaging with knowledge consistently nearly every day, you know. And I'm always posting something about nature, a little bit of humor, you know, regional politics, something insightful, something like what a news person would do, right? You go watch the news, they're covering multiple stories throughout the day. It's not really that big of a deal. Some people have more of a one post once a week. There's some content creators I really like. They only post like once a month. And others, I love how they upload like 5-6 times a day, because as I'm doing chores, as I'm doing something like cleaning or cooking, I can have it on, right? So different content creators have their own style, and I never shame them for it. I'm not like Hassan Piker, who's streaming for 10 hours a day just babbling nonsense, walking away from his chair while his chat talks to himself. But again, he's wealthy and I'm not, so he's earned money from what he does, so I can't be too hard on him. But I just found that interesting, how I wasn't procrastinating with my knowledge. I have all this enthusiasm and energy, and Shahid Bolson, I remember the last name, I might be saying his first name wrong, but I remember he made an attack video on Gabriel Ramani, Ali Dawa, and Daniel Hakikachu. And it's very weird. You know, it's like, for a Muslim, he seems to be very upset about everything and anything. But I always found that odd, that another Muslim was basically telling me not to upload Islamic content and shaming me for how much I would upload. Just because he's maybe doing things offline and he just doesn't want others to do things online, I'm not sure. But there's plenty of reasons to produce content. And even if someone disagrees with me on something, I don't think that's reason enough to tell someone to get offline. I would just encourage someone to keep learning. And so I don't procrastinate. I maximize my time effectively, consistently. That's something that I've always done. And, well, even when I was pregnant, you know, nursing my baby, I was always this way, you know. I like it. It makes me happy. My me time is studying, and also when I study, I also do it privately. But also I like to upload content to keep it in the mix, because I'll follow some cooking stuff. And when I see a new upload, I get even more motivated to cook. That's how my brain works, and I know I'm not the only one. Right? I like to see movement. I don't like to see stagnation. Stagnation and procrastination go hand in hand. And when I see other people excelling, I don't ankle bite and get jealous. I'm like, yeah, go for it, especially if they're Muslim. We need more Islamic content out there. It's like a literal dawah wars out there. People creating massive amounts of anti-Islamic content. Just look on X, Elon Musk's platform. Huge accounts just saying the most terrible things about Muslims, but you can't say that about the Jays. And you're like, So that creates even more of a need for us to produce content. And I feel like I have a very unique American revert perspective, and you know, someone will connect with it, inshallah, right? And so I don't procrastinate when it comes to learning knowledge, and I try to lead by example, is my point. He also mentioned, you know, hastening to learn, don't postpone. You really gotta put it as the main focus of your life, and I agree with that. See, a lot of women will say, you know, I'm bored as a stay-at-home mom. And that's usually because I notice they're watching shows like reality TV or novellas, or something that you don't get a whole lot of knowledge from. Now, I do like to watch a little bit of horror movies. You know, I like to analyze things. What is the codes in here? What's going on? What's the messaging? Because I'm very analytical. And cinematic criticism is something that's very interesting to me, because directors, producers, and writers, and then how the actor brings that image alive, tells a story. And not every show, movie, series, documentary is created equal. But there are some ones that they tell a hidden story. You know, we can talk about that another time. But I do think it's highly beneficial that we gain knowledge. Now, the caveat comes in is people will say only Islamic knowledge. But I would argue, like, if you're a Muslim but you are a butcher, you're gaining, you know, butchery skills, that's valuable. It's going to give you a job, and as a butcher, you got time to talk to people, and you never know, you can give them dawah in that moment. And the better the butcher you become, the better restaurant you'll work in, or the better company you'll work for, and then that's another opportunity to introduce Islam to even more people. So the harder you work, on gaining knowledge and Islamic knowledge, I would argue that you're benefiting consistently, that you're leveling up, right? Because if someone's gaining knowledge in mathematics, they may have a coworker or something like that, a student, and then that student finds out they're Muslim, and then they're in the inner circles of these high echelon people of mathematics and able to talk about Islam and give dawah. And so I always thought it was cool when people become perfectionists as much as they can in their private fields, but also push themselves to excel in the Islamic field of study. And I would argue each Muslim content creator has their specialty. Some it's tafsir, some it's combating liberalism, some it's going against the Christians or the Zayos, you name it. Everyone has a unique skill. And none of us will ever really have the end-all be-all when it comes to how much we've learned about Islam. But the point is that we consistently keep moving forward. You don't give up. You don't put it on the back burner. And so as a stay-at-home wife, people will assume you're just like a bumpkin. You are a leech. You're a burden. I've had feminists call me this before. And you're like, did they just really think that stay-at-home moms are just sitting around smoking blunts and their kids are running around chaotically? Do they not understand how to manage a household and how things can be sort of regimented in a very dignified, orderly manner? It's strange. I think they imagine all stay-at-home moms as women who just live in trailer parks and smoke meth. And their kid just runs around in a diaper with no shoes on. It's bizarre. You know, that's why I always try to say, hey, look, you don't have to be in college to learn. You can learn at home. You can learn with your library, with online content. You have all this knowledge at your fingertips, so chase it. You want to become an expert in something, go for it. Okay? And it's wonderful with how many scholars have had their works translated for us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward those who translate the content, because it's essential for us. And the more people who translate things, the better we're able to help people keep pursuing knowledge. Because some people, they speak maybe Portuguese or Spanish or some other language, and so we need to be able to communicate. And I'm very proud of all those people who translate things from the scholars into English so that I can continue to learn, right? So make sure, I'd argue, at least every week you're learning something new about the religion. I think that the more you know about your religion, the less fearful you are of evil. Now, we should always be on the lookout for shaitan. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can test us at any time, anywhere, as He so wills. But I would argue you feel less afraid of the occultists and other weirdos when you start learning what du'as you can make, when you pray, when you try to make sure that you're memorizing certain things of the religion, you're following the rules and applying them. And if you follow the rules and apply them, oftentimes you'll avoid situations where evil can touch you more easily. So let's say you study, you find out free mixing is haram, and now you avoid it as much as possible, you have more benefit in your life. But if you never knew that it wasn't haram, and you're having pitfalls, you'll blame Allah, but really you didn't study. You didn't go about learning some rules. And now fiqh is a broad area, which is why we have to study even more. Because if you want to be the best Muslim you can, you gotta study. And you'll notice that when you don't have the knowledge, you have an excuse. Like, I was ignorant, I didn't know. But once you have the knowledge, well, now, you need to apply it. So you gain the knowledge, you apply it, and it's a never-ending journey. Don't delay it, don't postpone it, don't say, tomorrow I'll read this, or tomorrow I'll do that, I'll attend this lecture. No, make it a consistent hobby. Now, as a stay-at-home wife, you're still going to have ways of being exhausted. But I'd argue if you work in customer service, that's very draining. And then you feel depleted. You feel like you don't have the energy to learn. But if you were more minimalistic, less vain, you didn't want that fancy car, you didn't need that expensive purse, and you stayed home, and you applied yourself to knowledge, it would benefit you better. Because seeking knowledge is going to safeguard your soul so that you have a better chance of doing good deeds and following the rules. That will help you get into paradise, inshallah. But if you're not studying, but you're focusing on planning that vacation to the Bahamas, getting that new matching pair of heels, you want to buy the latest car, you want to get the latest phone, you're working hard, making your boss happy, getting cash so that you can have more materialistic stuff, and you've forgotten about the hereafter, and you've forgotten that knowledge is going to help you to have the best outcome, inshallah, in the hereafter. Because the more you learn about your religion, the more you can safeguard yourself and advise others, right? Because when you learn stuff, you can teach others. Even if it's just a hadith, you can be like, hey, you know, there's a hadith that says this. There's an ayah in the Quran that says this. Hey, did you know this is an Islamic value? The more you learn, the more you're like a fountain of knowledge for others. And you're able to pass that knowledge along and be a wonderful tool for the religion of Islam. It's fascinating. So keep learning. Be proud of every step you do, but don't feel like it's all for nothing. Right? Don't feel like, oh, you know, it doesn't mean anything. It's all this, it's all that. No. It'll benefit you. And when you share that knowledge, you're benefiting others as well. So learn. Keep doing deep dives. Don't give up. Stay positive. Make dua. And I hope that you're learning as much as I'm learning. And Ramadan is on the way soon. So take that time as well to learn. Take care. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time.